If you feel like you've tried literally everything and you're not getting better, let me let you in on some of the secrets that I use to assess my clients to see what the missing puzzle piece might be. This is especially relevant if you have things like long COVID, ME/CFS, chronic fatigue syndrome, PTSD, anxiety, MCAS, POTS. These are all things that fall under the umbrella of centrally sensitized, meaning that your nervous system is sensitized in these conditions. First thing that I'm looking for in these conditions is to see if the person has had a full medical workup to rule out anything else going on that might be happening with the blood, with the hormones, with inflammation, or just generally with your health. And on the subject of the body, it's really important to make sure that people are supported well in terms of diet and supplements and medication. So I like to check if they're followed by a doctor who's supporting them in these areas. Make sure they're eating enough protein, getting enough variety of fiber, and using diet or supplements to lower their inflammation. The next thing that we talk about is movement. So using proper pacing to get some exercise or movement in your body that's working for your body. We talked about this in the other video about pacing, but moving the blood flow through your body is extremely important for these conditions. The onus of healing is not completely on you. So I also like to talk to my client about the external factors that are getting in the way of their stress and their sense of safety. They might be in a marginalized community, they might be in poverty, they might be in an abusive relationship or have an extremely stressful relationship with their spouse or have a lot of duties in terms of children or other people to take care of. So mitigating and managing these stresses in any way that we can is important as well. And it's important to consider that it's not just on the person. Sometimes there are external factors that can be really impacting somebody's recovery. Then we consider sleep. Is the person able to sleep well? And if not, can we improve on their sleep hygiene? There are plenty of little hacks that help us get better sleep, so those are things that are really helpful to go over. I like to get a sense if people are still doing something fun or meaningful, because having something that's fun and joyful brings laughter into our lives. Laughter is amazing medicine for our bodies. And working on something that's meaningful to us gives us actual extra energy, even if it's really, really small. On the subject of meaning, spirituality, or connection to something beyond ourselves. So it's important for me to explore with clients if they have a religious or spiritual connection, and if not, maybe a connection to nature or just a connection to gratitude, what their values are, and if they're living with those values, and if there's ways, even in the chronic illness space, to access those values in small ways. These are all under the umbrella of what I might call lifestyle factors. So these are some of the pieces of the puzzle that could be missing. The next thing that I take a look at is their nervous system. So what are they doing to support their nervous system day to day? What kinds of therapies have they done in the past? And have they done therapies to process any traumas they may have had in the past? If there's unprocessed trauma or repressed emotions in our nervous system, it's going to be causing havoc. It's going to be continuing the cycle of that sensitization and keeping us in those loops. And if that's the case, we might need to look into trauma processing or looking at and sitting with and processing some of those repressed emotions. What is that client doing day to day to support their nervous system? Do you have a nervous system plan? For example, are you meditating each day or doing eye yoga or doing breath work? And if you are doing these things, how are you doing them? That's very important. Not just that you're doing them. You can do hours of nervous system regulation a day, but if you're doing it as a way to force yourself into healing, it's not actually going to work. So not only do I listen for what they're doing, but I listen to the approach that they're taking, and if there's a forcing or fixing or intensity in their mindset behind it, and if there is, we might need to work on that. Which brings me to brain retraining. How is my client responding to the symptoms that they have? When they have major symptoms, are they starting to get really scared? Are they starting to catastrophize? Are they thinking that something's horribly wrong in their body? Are they telling themselves you're going to be like this forever? It's never going to get better. You're going to be bedridden. You're going to be in a wheelchair. They have anxiety. Are they fearing the anxiety? Are they forcing it away? Are they trying to fix it immediately? If we can retrain our brains to start to respond rather than react, that takes the fuel away from the fire. So these are some of the main areas that I look at, and if any of these pieces of the puzzle are missing, that's what we work on in therapy. And when we address those pieces that are missing, that's when we see people start to gain function, and a lot of the time, that's when we see people recover.